Well, here we are. Hello, everyone. Friday, November 22nd. And I'll let you in on a little something. I'm giving the kids in my class a pop quiz today. Pop quiz. Here it is. There's the quiz. Look, kids, if only you paid attention to this live stream, you would know what's being asked. For people who don't know, I teach a class at Georgetown on campaign journalism. I haven't given them a pop quiz yet, but I'm going to give them a pop quiz today just to make sure they're paying attention to the news, right? It's important to pay attention to the news. We need to pay attention to the news. Let's pay attention to the news. So the kids will get an 8-question pop quiz today. These are college kids. I don't even know. Are you supposed to call them kids? I feel like when you get as old as me, call everybody kids. But they are giving a pop quiz. I'll give you a few select questions. These feel easy to me, but sometimes when I do these things, they say they're hard. So here's question 1. Which incumbent Democratic senator conceded defeat on Thursday more than 2 weeks after the election ended? That seems easy, right? It's an easy question. And how about this one? The governor of Ohio will appoint someone to J.D. Vance's Senate seat. What is that governor's name? Those seem easy, right? Those are easy questions. You guys know the answer to those. Yes, Pocket Watch already answered. Bob Casey, well done. John Barbian, holy cow, I made it to a live show. Welcome, my friend. So here's the deal. If you have questions, you need to ask them in the chat. I will answer them, as many as I can, for as long as I can, though. I got to be honest, I got to prepare a little bit more for class. I did do the quiz, but I got to do a little bit more because my guest, Peter Baker from the New York Times, can't come. So now I've got 2.5 hours to kill. So I have to do a little of that, but I'm going to go for a while here and ask questions in the chat. I always, a couple things while people file into the room. First of all, welcome. Second of all, I do this every Friday. In addition to 4 to 6 or 7 videos I make during the week, it depends on the week. So I made 2 yesterday because I made 1 and then Matt Gaetz dropped out of the AG confirmation fight. So I made another. So I do between 4 and 6 videos a week, 1 a day at least. And then I do the live stream on Friday. That's here. If you're not a subscriber, just become one. We are cresting toward 49,000. I think we're like 20 away from 49,000. So be one of those 49,000 and then we'll be to 50 and then it's all happening. Second, Substack. So if you don't know about it, newsletter service, it's just you get it emailed to you. It's just another way to consume what I'm doing. I'm writing a ton of content for Substack. It is at chriscillizza.substack.com. My last name, Cillizza. So chriscillizza.substack.com. 80% of the content's free, 20% you have to pay for. If you want to support what I'm doing, and I hope you do, because I want to keep doing it, it's $6 a month or $60 per year. Now, to the questions here on the chat. The royal we, I take questions. The one thing I say is I'm always thankful if people want to donate to me to support what I'm building and what I'm doing. Honestly, I'll tell you, it just pays for little things, but it does help me around the edges. Like, I got to buy a new microphone. So I'm getting a new microphone. So if you want to donate to the Chris Cillizza Get a New Microphone Fund, that's what you would be giving for. If you do donate, what I will do is ask the question that you ask in your donation. I will jump it to the top of the line. So let's get started. Fran says, okay, I need to clarify. When I saw you in Boston on Tuesday and told you I had to unsubscribe, I meant taking a break from all political news for the sake of my mental health. I'm still keeping my paying Substack subscription. Then Fran adds, I'll be back in a couple of months. P.S. Looking handsome, bro. No Starbucks food is doing great on you. Oh, Fran. Yes, that was amazing. I ran into someone who watches my YouTube videos and subscribes to my Substack in the streets in Boston on Tuesday. I was in Boston giving a speech on Tuesday. I literally flew up Tuesday morning and flew back Tuesday night, gave the talk, saw Fran. So yeah, I get people who are taking a little bit of a step back. What I would say is, look, in general, journalism is super important always. I think it's even more important now because we are in a moment, we're sort of through the looking glass. Donald Trump is going to say and do and choose people and try to legislate and oversee sort of American life in ways that we've never seen a president do before. So that's number one. Number two, look, the mainstream media is dying, people. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It just is. Like, my friend Ben Pershing at the Wall Street Journal, brilliant guy. I worked with him and for him forever. Great ideas guy. They laid him off yesterday. The politics editor of the Wall Street Journal. Dan Egan, senior politics editor of the Washington Post, another guy I worked with for a long time. They're moving him out of that job. Like, I'm just telling you, man, like it's happening in real time. So if you want independent, nonpartisan, authentic, transparent, that's me. So I get needing to take a break, Fran. I do. I know. I understand it. But I always tell people, if you believe that journalism matters, particularly political journalism, it matters more now than ever before, number one. And number two, the decline of mainstream media means people like me more than ever need your support. Because I think what people like me are doing is even more important now. All right, let me keep going. Pocket Watch, thank you as always for the donation. And Pocket Watch says, thanks for doing these, Chris. Happy to do it. It's always a joy. Teresa Kender, no donation, just says good job. I mean, no question. Thank you for the donation and just says good job. Is that a fox or is that a squirrel or a cat? Anyway, Matt Davidson. Matt, thank you. Good to see you and thanks for the donation. Matt says, what are the chances the Dems will use the spec res to get the report released on Gaetz and use it to oust him in the next Congress, a la George Santos? Is that a real possibility or just wishful thinking? Just wishful thinking. I do not think they are going to. It's a privileged resolution. And basically, if you do it, it has to be ruled on. You can't just say like it's a privileged resolution, because what that means is within 2 legislative work days, if it's a privileged resolution, it has to get a full House floor vote. But the majority has some say over what's a privileged resolution and what's not. I know this nerdy House talk, but Matt, I don't think they'll pursue it now that Gaetz is not the AG nominee and not in Congress. I mean, I guess they could, but I don't think they will. Thank you for the donation and thanks for the comment. Eric Holm. Eric, thanks for the donation. Eric says, can I just start by asking what was with recording a video on a basketball court on Wednesday? Okay, so if you saw my video on Wednesday, which was about how Donald Trump is not going to serve beyond 2028, I very much believe that. I did it from the practice court of the Washington Wizards, deep within Capital One Arena. How, you ask? Well, for people who don't know, I'm hosting a show called Politics Aside with Chris Cillizza. Amazing title. It's got my name right in there. Where I talk to politicians, people around politics, athletes, about sort of how sports has informed their political views, their political lives. It is not like, do you like Donald Trump or not? It's very much like, what are the lessons we can learn from sports that we can use in politics? How can we figure out ways to use sports to come together and get beyond some of our sort of partisan gridlock? It's an awesome show. 2 episodes have aired so far. We've shot like 5 or 6. It is on Monumental Sports Network, which is a regional sports network here in DC. But just go to Monumental Sports Network, just type it in the internet. You can get the app and you can watch it through your cable company. So pretty great. That's why I was there, Eric, because I was interviewing Tom McMillan, who is a former NBA basketball player, also former Maryland congressman, also former Rhodes Scholar, also 6'11". Amazing. Quantum of Zen. Quantum, thank you so much for the donation. Quantum of Zen asks, how much credence do you give to the idea of Biden resigning before January 20th to allow Harris to enter history as the first woman president? Nope. No credence. Not going to happen. It would be like technicality. Sorry, I'm getting a million texts. Okay. It's random. It would be on a technicality. So it would be like breaking like a point scoring record after you tear your ACL and they let you kind of like go out there and lay the ball in and no one's defending you. It would have an asterisk next to it, right? Because she wouldn't have won the election. She wouldn't have won an election to be the first female president. It would have been, he resigns. It's not going to. Okay. The point is, it's not going to happen. I know it is some Democrats' fantasy. It's just not happening. Pocket Watch asks, are your in-laws concerned about being upset when the Aggies venture to Jordan-Hare Stadium tomorrow evening? I trust you'll be watching. Yes, I know they are playing Auburn. The Aggies had a very hard time 2 weeks ago with South Carolina. They cannot lose again. If they do lose again, they're out certainly of the college football playoff. So I'm really hoping we beat Auburn because we still have Texas next week, which is gigantic game. All right, here we go. More questions. First of all, thank you to everyone who donated. Let me make sure I got through everyone who donated first. I just want to make sure I knocked all the donations out that came in. These actually almost all came in before the chat. You guys rock. Thank you. By the way, 220 people are on this, but only 36 likes. Just smash that like button, people. Just smash it. Smash that like button. Okay, Luke Growth. Hey, Chris, why did Dems do so well in the House compared to the presidential elections? And in 2028, do you think the Dem nominee will be an establishment politician or an outsider like Jon Stewart or Mark Cuban? Okay, first question. Luke, they did pretty well. Down ballot, Democrats didn't do badly. I mean, I know they lost 4 Senate seats, but they also won 4 Senate seats in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. Not Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona. Pennsylvania, they lost. That Trump won. So Republicans could have very realistically had 57 Senate seats. They're going to have 53. At the House level, still counting in some of these places, but Republicans are going to have the majority, but it's going to be narrow. And it might be even narrower than it was pre-2024. What explains that? So I think a lot of the people who voted for Trump at the top of the ticket were just one-offs. Just people who they voted for Trump and then they left. They didn't vote for anything else. They are Trump people. They're not Republicans. So what that tells me, I think we'll see, but what I would initially conclude off of that is that this is a Trump coalition that he built, not necessarily a Republican coalition. Like these are people who turn out to vote for Donald Trump, but I don't know if they'll turn out to vote for Republicans in the midterms or another Republican presidential candidate in 2028. Speaking of 2028, establishment politician or outsider, I think they would be smart to go with an outsider. I don't know that they will, but I think they'd be smart to because I think people hate politicians. And even for someone who is as wacky and radical as Donald Trump, the fact that he's not really a politician, I know he's been president, but he's not really a politician, I think speaks to how much people want outsiders. I don't know if they will do that, but we'll see. All right, Andy King. What do you think of the opinion that the first female president will likely be a Republican, and how do you think liberals feel about history being taken away from them? I don't know. I mean, sure, it could. The first female chief of staff at the White House is a Republican, Susie Wiles, Donald Trump's chief of staff. Sure, it could be. I get that because in order to win, you need kind of Republican-leaning voters to vote, and they're more likely to vote for a female Republican than a female Democrat. I can see that. I was just trying to think who it might be. Sarah Huckabee Sanders? I don't know, but I was just trying to think who it might be. Billy D in the Hoodoos. Billy, thank you as always for the donation. He says, hey, Chris, TGIF. No kidding. Thanks for doing these. Do you think Joe should pardon Hunter and maybe preemptively pardon Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, etc.? No. I think that would be really bad. First of all, I don't think you should preemptively pardon anyone. I think that's a bad idea. And I really don't think Joe Biden should pardon Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden did things wrong. I mean, to me, that's not up for debate. So if Joe Biden really believes in rule of law and no nepotism and all those things, no, you should not do that. I know other presidents have pardoned friends and family, and I know Trump, I get all that stuff. But, again, Joe Biden says he's going to be better than Trump. So no, I do not think he should do that. Let's see. Julio J, when and how much do you think we'll get to learn about the details of Biden's decline, how it played out, a la Bob Woodward's Trump books? I hope a lot because I think it's a really important story. I was watching Biden do the Boston Celtics were at the White House yesterday, and man, he looks rough and sounds rough. He just does not look super with it. And so that's the thing that I think we moved on from. But June 27th, look how bad Joe Biden was at that debate, and then we were like, oh, it's okay. He dropped out of the race. We don't have to worry about it. But he was the president and will be the president all the way through January 20th at 11:59 p.m. I feel like that is somewhat worrisome. So I hope. Human NC, really appreciate you doing this, by the way. Chris, no problem. Happy to do it. Chris Murphy 15, not that Chris Murphy. Have you noticed a decline in your audience lately? Trump will have been in news for 14 years by the time this is over in 2029. Not really. I mean, I was getting it's at least with YouTube, it's very video dependent. The Matt Gaetz video added lots and lots and lots of people yesterday. Some of the other ones probably are not adding as many subscribers as they might have a month ago. Substack, people have definitely unsubscribed, not huge numbers, but some people have unsubscribed. And the reason is what Fran said at the top, which is they're like, oh, I can't deal with politics anymore. I get that. I mean, again, I made the case at the top of this why you should deal with politics. Like, I get it, but it's important. But no, not like in droves. I wrote a piece on Substack this week where I said Donald Trump's not going to save the media this time, mainstream media this time. And I do think that's true. When he got elected in 2016, there was so much interest and on pro and anti-Trump that it really kind of took what was on life support, the mainstream media, and gave it a jolt. I don't think he's going to save him this time around because I think there is a little bit of a fatigue. I think people are less shocked that he won again because he'd already won once. And I think the mainstream media is in a worse place 8 years on than they were in 2016. Daniel Ownby. Daniel, thank you for the donation. Daniel says, in your opinion, what would it take for a one-party dominance over a few decades? The back and forth is a recent development. Correct. Yeah, I mean, look, Democrats held the House for 40 years, 1954 to 1994. So yeah, it's a relatively recent development, particularly in the last decade. We've had presidency back and forth. We've had House control back and forth. We've had Senate control back and forth. So, Daniel, I don't see in the near term a way that you're going to get one party with 65 Senate seats and 320 House seats or 300 House seats and a president who wins with 450 electoral votes or even 400 electoral votes. It doesn't feel like that moment. Now, I always say the pendulum swings back and forth in politics. So at some point, will that happen? Yes. Because you're right, the amount of back and forth is a new thing. I think it's based on the fact that people know what they don't want, which is whoever's in power. They don't really know who they do want. So they vote one in, they don't like them. They vote the other side in, they don't like them. They vote the other side back in. It goes like that, sort of. That's a good question. Really thoughtful. Junk Rig Sailor, Junk Rig, always good to see you. And thank you for the donation. Please, can I have your opinion? Sure. Was Dana Bash framing that she wasn't sure which side the neo-Nazis were on? Somewhat unfortunate framing. I don't know about that, but I don't know that specific reference about Dana, but no, she's not pro-Nazi. No, or neo-Nazi. Sam 2, what 2028 candidate do you think best speaks to the working class that Dems need? Good question. So that's a different question than who do I think can win? Right? I think Democrats would be smart. If they could just pick someone, I think they'd be smart to pick someone like Andy Beshear, 2-term governor of Kentucky. It's a rural, working class state. He has shown an ability to win in that state, despite its clear conservative leanings. He's a young guy. He's not incredibly dynamic, but he's probably honestly too moderate to win a Democratic primary. But that's the kind of face I think Democrats would benefit from putting forward. I just don't know if they will. Brad, thank you for the donation. Do you see Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito both retiring within the next 2 years? I don't know the answer to that. So I know Democrats and liberals particularly are very worried about Trump's ability to frame the court for the next 35 years. Okay, so I do think that conservatives generally are more strategic than liberals. That extends to conservative justices. I think they would think about it more okay, Trump's president for the next 4 years. We have no idea what comes after that. We want to ensure that another Republican picks our replacements. So maybe, but the thing I would say is they're so insulated up there. They have these huge staffs and it's a pretty good gig to be a Supreme Court justice. So I don't know. The walking away from it, I think it's harder than you might think. I get the strategic piece of it, but I think it's harder than you might think. Pool Boy Dave, are you sticking with Georgia to win the national championship in college football? I am. Give me Georgia. I know they've shown some weakness. Give me Georgia. I'm not picking Alabama, and I don't think Oregon's going to do it. Craig Vance, how do you think the Senate seats eventually vacated by Vance and Rubio will affect the confirmation votes in the Senate? They shouldn't. Because Rubio is not gonna. I think they'll sequence it in a way that they won't be down 2 senators. And remember, in the Senate, it's an appointment and then an election. It's not like the House where it's a special election. In both cases, Mike DeWine who is the answer to my trivia question at the start, by the way. Mike DeWine, the Republican governor of Ohio, and Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor of Florida, will appoint a replacement for Rubio and Vance. And that person will be sworn in like a day later. So it's not like the House where you'd be waiting to see who wins a special election for months. So I don't think it will really affect it. Tommy Farrell, you're staffing Trump's cabinet, but you have to play Stone Cold Steve Austin, Paul Heyman, and The Undertaker. Where are they going? Stone Cold, White House Chief of Staff. I need somebody tough. I need somebody who's willing to stand up to me. Paul Heyman, run the Republican National Committee. I need a strategist. The Undertaker, Medicare and Medicaid. He's a specialist in that. Matt Davidson, Matt, thank you again for the donation. Matt says, hey, Chris, do you think Jon Stewart is a real possibility for 2028, or is that Dems just rubbing a lamp? Dems rubbing a lamp, I think. Why would Jon Stewart want to run for president? Like, it doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I don't see. I mean, look, I probably wouldn't have told you in 2013 that Donald Trump was going to run for president and win. Who knows? But I don't think Jon Stewart. Mark Cuban seems much more sensible as like he might do it than Jon Stewart. Maybe that's just me. Barnaby Jones, no matter who gets in, your Democrat criminal buddies are going away, some to prison. So laugh emojis. Barnaby, you're always in this chat and I do appreciate you, but a couple things. One, I'm not buddies with Democrats or Republicans. I'm a journalist. Number two, I don't know if people are going to jail. If people do things wrong, they should go to jail. If not, I don't know. Number three, that's not a question. Clarence Peterson, who are Democrats you could see emerging as leading candidates in 2028 that are not getting enough attention? I think of Abigail Spanberger if she gets elected governor of Virginia. Yeah, absolutely. That election is next year, 2025. I could totally see Spanberger being like a VP potential consideration. Ruben Gallego for sure in Arizona. He's not in the Senate yet. He'll be sworn into the Senate early next year. He's like 44, young Hispanic guy, Marine, really interesting background. So that's two. Bashir, trying to think if there's anyone else. Like could Phil Murphy, who's leaving the New Jersey governor's mansion, could he do it? Maybe. I don't know that he's a new face. John C. I'm a big Pete Buttigieg fan. What do you think his political future looks like? Very talented, incredibly bright, really good on TV. And I think he will run in 2028. The question is America and the Democratic Party and then America ready to elect a gay married man president? And that's the big hurdle for him. That and the fact that he kind of comes across as like the smartest kid in the room always. And you don't necessarily want to vote for the smartest kid in the room. Some people do, some people don't. And so I think the kind of like goody two shoes, Buddy Haskell. Is Buddy the one who was like a nerdy, like a kiss butt? I don't remember. I'm not a big Leave It to Beaver guy, but you get my idea. Andy Smith, when it comes to GOP senators, who could say no to Trump's picks? I think you forgot to mention Jerry Moran of Kansas. Sure. Okay, so people I did a video on. So I think I mentioned 7. So Lisa Murkowski of Alaska for sure. Susan Collins of Maine for sure. Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, interestingly enough, even though he's up in 2026, he's been willing to buck Trump. I don't know if he will, given his political circumstances. John Curtis from Utah, the senator-elect who's taking Mitt Romney's spot. McConnell, obviously. He hates Trump. Todd Young from Indiana. I think those are the ones that jumped to mind. Yeah, I guess I could see Jerry Moran. Sure. Rich G says, let's give Chris some before he even gets here. Somewhat. But sure. Nostalgic American. Can't believe people give handouts to Chris even though he is always late. Even though he always is late, isn't contributing to society. Fair point. I was 1 minute late. I had lunch with my mom. I was getting back from lunch with my mom. Thank you all who do donate to me, even no matter what Nostalgic American says. Kendra Farrell. Hey, Chris, can I get a happy birthday shout out for my son, Damien? You literally just did. Happy birthday, Damien. He just turned 11 this week, and his father and he tune into your weekly live stream. Thanks. Damien, you're 11 years old and you tune into this live stream? Holy moly. Thank you. I hope you have an amazing birthday. So I'm assuming you're in 5th or 6th grade. It's a great year. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. You got great parents who care about you and who love politics. That speaks highly of them. Happy birthday. John Craig Saylor. What do you think about Jon Stewart's monologue about Dems needing to play dirty and exploit the loopholes and stop giving a flying F about norms and rules? Look, I do think that there's, and John Craig, thank you for your donation. I do think there's something to that. I mean, look, somebody asked me the other day, who do you think should be the Democratic National Committee chair? And I said, Rahm Emanuel. And the reason for that is you need fighters. Donald Trump is a knife fighter. He is going to win, like, to make another professional wrestling analogy, when the ref isn't looking, he's going to kick you in the groin and then hit you with the brass knuckles he's got stuck in his tights, right? That's who he is. And so my view is you can either be like, tut, tut, we lost, or you can try to match fire for fire. And I think Rahm Emanuel would be good in that regard. I agree. I didn't see that Jon Stewart monologue. I don't watch him a ton. He doesn't watch me, so no harm, no foul. But I could see that being smart. PK Olson, are FBI background checks underway for any of the pending nominations? No, so Trump has not. Usually they sign off on FBI investigations to all the cabinet nominees, but Trump has not done. It's one of the big ways he's broken with protocol. He's not done that, I think, because he doesn't trust the FBI. But as a result, you get things like what's happening with Pete Hegseth, which is, you know, you find out things like, oh, he paid off a woman who said that he sexually assaulted her. He said he didn't do it, but he still paid her off. Like, the Trump people didn't know that. Yeah. Let's see. Dr. Always First. What do you think it's the most who do you think is the most qualified person Trump has nominated so far? The least out there pick? Probably either Marco Rubio for Secretary of State or Mike Waltz, the Florida congressman, for National Security Advisor. Those are the two, I think, you know. Barry Riley, since the death of newspapers, how do I follow what is going on in local politics? Great question. Barry, there are a lot of great independent local news sites. So I would search independent news and fill in the blank state. If you want to email me, CILLIZZAC@gmail.com, that'll come directly to me. If you've got a specific state, hopefully I can guide you there. I'm going to try and do more local coverage on my Substack, to be totally honest. So if you're interested, go over there and check it out. But yeah, I think local news has been hit incredibly hard by how bad the economics are for media. And that's a great question. Maxwell Feiner, was Pam Bondi on your radar for who Trump might pick? I was thinking you'd go with Cruz or Hawley. I don't think he's going to pick another person out of the Senate. And just like I didn't think he was going to pick Ken Paxton. I know a lot of people thought he'd pick the Texas Attorney General, who's very controversial. You know what? She wasn't on my list, but I didn't have a list, and it makes total sense. And I think she's going to be confirmed. I mean, I think if he had picked Pam Bondi first rather than Gaetz, she would be confirmed anyway. But I think she's pretty solid. Makes sense. Had that role in Florida. Dan W., how long does the Trump being a lame duck start taking shape? 2028 is going to be like a 3.5-year campaign. Yes, for Democrats, 2028 is basically already started. For Republicans, it's a little harder because you got Trump and you don't want to piss Trump off. That's J.D. Vance's problem, right? Like he obviously wants to run for president in 2028, but Donald Trump doesn't want him like beginning to run for president in 2026. So it's hard. But yes, the 2028 race is going to be very long and I would assume very crowded. Jim Bart 8. Alan Lichtman announced as Attorney General pick. Well done. If you did not see Cenk Uygur, I never know how to say his last name, but the Young Turks guy and Alan Lichtman on TV fighting. Incredible television. Incredible. PK Olson 1. Glad I subscribed on Substack just a day or so again. Yes, come on. Subscribe, people. Pocket Watch just renewed to your Substack in the last week. Annual subscription, of course. Oh, booyah. Melanie says, love this show. Thanks, Melanie. I appreciate it. Let's see. Tabby, let me do Joe first. Joe says, what damage can Trump do to the institutions of democracy and what long-lasting impact will it make? Well, I mean, I don't know yet, to be honest, Joe. I mean, I think if you consider one of the institutions of democracy, the media, Trump labeling it the fake news and going after it has already done a bunch of damage. Here's one thing I will say, though, to the people who insist that democracy is about to end and that Trump is going to run roughshod over everyone. Matt Gaetz. Okay, Matt Gaetz was Trump's first pick to be Attorney General. 8 days after he was picked, he stepped away from the nomination. Why? Because Trump told him to. Why? Because Republican senators made clear to Trump that Gaetz wasn't getting 50 votes. So that's advise and consent. That's how the process is supposed to work. So remind me about how Trump is riding roughshod over everyone in the Senate and they're just his lapdogs. Like if they were just his lapdogs, they would have confirmed Matt Gaetz and there wouldn't have even been a fight and every single one of them would have voted for it. So I don't know. I think the democracy is ending. Fascism, America's Hitler stuff is overblown. But people who've watched these before know I feel that way. Tabby D. Who do you think is the stronger Democratic candidate in 28, Newsom or Shapiro? I'm assuming Whitmer will run into the same headwinds as Harris did. I continue to think Whitmer's the best choice from them. I know she's a woman, and I know that's what you're talking about when you say headwinds. And yes, the last two women that Democrats have nominated both lost. And the last white guy that Democrats nominated won. I get that. But I still think Whitmer, middle of the country, good story. Maybe this is the time. Out of Newsom and Shapiro, though, Shapiro in my mind. I get this may be recency bias, but one of the things in retrospect that I think was really hard for Kamala Harris is she's from California. And so, and San Francisco in particular. And so for everyone who doesn't live in California or on one of the two coasts, San Francisco equals crazy, radical, communist liberal. And it's a really easy case to make because that's their stereotype of it. And I worry Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco and then the governor of California. I worry he'd fall victim to that same bias. So I'm going to say Whitmer, Shapiro, Newsom in that order. I do think they're all going to run. Pocket Watch says, is it true you're auctioning naming rights to your new mic? That'd be amazing. The Pocket Watch mic, like right here. No, I am not auctioning off naming rights, but if you do want to donate to help me get a new mic, this is the mic that I've had since CNN. And I will tell you in 6 days, I just looked at this yesterday. In 6 days will be 2 years since CNN laid me off. Isn't that crazy? 2 years. So this mic is worn out. It's welcome. I need to get a new one. It's not great. I know people always complain about it and I need to get a new one and I will. If you donate to me, no, I'll get a new one anyway. But if you do want to donate to the Cillizza Microphone Fund, even without naming rights, do so. Let's see. XPFC Wintergreen V2O. Does Biden presidential ability to declassify information extend to congressional investigations? I don't know the answer to that. Yes, a president has wide latitude to declassify information, as Donald Trump insisted, but I don't totally know. Mark W. says he left the mainstream media 10 years ago. Well, I think a lot of people are following you. XPFC Wintergreen, did Joe and Mika sign their own pink slips when they visited Mar-a-Lago? I don't think so, but they did hurt themselves because, look, here's the reality. If you are going to go on national television every single day and say something like Donald Trump is a fascist, Donald Trump is a massive threat to democracy, Donald Trump might end democracy, comparisons between Donald Trump and Hitler and American Nazi Germany are totally apt. If you're going to say all those things, which I purposely didn't say because I don't believe them, and I think comparing things to fascism and to Hitler are a giant mistake and forget history. But if you do those things, it's really hard to then go down there and be like, well, we just thought we should talk to him. Really? Because you said he was America's Hitler. Because somebody asked me, they're like, well, wouldn't you go down and talk to Trump if he invited you? Yes, I would. But I also never called him America's Hitler. Like there's a big difference. So no, I don't think they sacrificed their career, but I mean, it's for access, people. Like, what else do you need to know? They want access to, it's Republican White House, Republican Senate, Republican House. So being on the liberal left, if you want access and information, is not where you need to be. Ashvik Godinho. Ashvik, thank you so much for your donation. Chris, what's your favorite main passion? Political punditry, YouTube videos, academic teaching, or speeches? All right, so it's hard because I like all those things. Speeches are by far the most lucrative. I just go, I give my rap, do my dog and pony, leave. It's pretty high paying. YouTube, punditry, like TV punditry, kind of all the same. Substack. I still like writing a lot. I still really enjoy writing. But I do think the content world is moving to video more. I think YouTube is taking over. I'm not just saying that because I'm on YouTube, but I do think YouTube is a massive player. And and on Substack, they're doing more video. So I think video is something I like doing and I'm going to do more of. Teaching is hard. First of all, breaking news, it doesn't pay well. Second, it's just hard. It's hard. You're dealing with a bunch of kids and personalities and trying to make sure that they're getting their money's worth from the university, especially now I'm teaching at my alma mater. Like, I want it to be good. I haven't done it as much. I mean, I've been doing all these other things for decades. I've taught once before this semester. So I get the most nervous about teaching. I don't know. I know that doesn't totally answer your question, but PK Olson, your thoughts on Comcast spinning off MSNBC, CNBC, et cetera? Well, I mean, look, it's not complicated. Comcast is a massive business, $160-something billion business. $7 billion of it is those cable networks. Are they going to risk the $164 billion on what the $7 billion, the people who work for the $7 billion say? No way in hell. So that to me is why they're doing it. Let's see. Phil Reinhart, former moderate red states like Arkansas, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Montana have swung hard right recently with no sign of Cillizza's pendulum swing back. What gives? Well, man, hold on one sec. Sorry, my son is playing in a tournament in Boyd's, Maryland that I missed. Yes, and he's playing at 1:30 on a Friday. He had to miss school. But I missed this tournament to do this. That's how much I love you. Phil, to your question, I don't know. I mean, definitely Texas and Florida, I think, are the fact that Latinos are not just a Democratic constituency. The fact that Latinos are now a swing constituency make those states harder for Democrats to win. Because if Latinos are splitting their vote, Republicans are winning most of the white vote, and there's not enough black vote in those places to make up for those losses. I don't know the answer in Arkansas or Montana or Tennessee, really. But maybe I'll look into it. That's a great question. Stephen Williams. Stephen gave money for Mike money. I love it. Mike money. Give us Mike money. I'm sure I will. This is what Stephen says. I'm sure I will not like what Pam Bondi does. I said Pam Dundee. I was thinking of the Dundee Awards. Pam from The Office. I'm sure I will not like what Pam Bondi does as AG, but I have to acknowledge that she has actual experience and is qualified for the job. Yeah, right. She's going to be confirmed. I mean, unless there's like some crazy thing. Totally agree with you, Stephen. Exact opposite of Matt Gaetz. Mike Witt, not that pitcher for the Angels, Mike Witt. Different spelling, Mike Witt. Mike, thank you for your donation. Mike says, I still don't understand why Joe Rogan completely bowed down to Trump after years of proclaiming to be a liberal. Comes across as total phony, in my opinion. I mean, sort of. Hold on. I'm looking. Okay. Keeping up on the game. We're up 1-0. Booyah. I mean, Rogan to me is just Rogan. Like, I don't know that he's like a liberal or a conservative or, anything like that. I think he's just Rogan. So I don't think he never struck me as someone that I expected to endorse Kamala Harris or something. Like, I think he's just Rogan. Like, and no, I don't think it'll hurt him, Mike. And I loved your work for the Angels. Great pitching. I know it's not the same person. Let's see. Just scrolling through. Mike Money. That makes me laugh. 4 a.m. Pizza. Thank you for asking this question every week. Hey, Chris, do you have an OnlyFans? No, I do not have an OnlyFans for the 1,000th time. Dwight Baldwin, who do you want for DNC chair? Dwight, I don't want anybody. I do think Democrats would be smart to pick Rahm Emanuel. I talked about this a little earlier because, look, they need tough. They need someone who is not afraid to throw many punches, and Rahm Emanuel, someone who's not afraid to throw a bunch of punches. Rahm Emanuel, if you don't know, former mayor of Chicago, former member of Congress from Illinois, former White House chief of staff under Clinton and Obama, and now the ambassador to Japan. Let's see. Eddie Haskell. Thank you, Eddie Haskell. What did I say? Not great. Hold on. Let's see. Just scrolling through. Sherry Zimmerman. Shout out for all to read Doris Kearns Goodwin book, Team of Rivals. Great book. And how Lincoln methodically chose his cabinet. Chris, how about a Christmas list for all the lowercase political science aficionados? Yes. Great idea. Christmas list. Hold on. Xmas list. It's on the Xmas list. There it is. It's going on my monitor, which is right here, which basically means I will do it. I love that idea. Like Christmas gifts for politically minded people, right? I think that'd be really fun. Great idea. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I did those. Travis Lindsay says, you're giving a pop quiz on a Friday, you monster. I know, but I only have class once a week. This is the only day I can give a pop quiz. It's a Friday. And I don't know if I'm going to grade it. I just kind of want to keep them on their toes. You know what I'm saying? Rich G, I know you're a wrestling fan, but are you also a video gamer? If so, what type of games? So Rich, so I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but I do post-election resolutions. And I haven't done them all yet, but I'm thinking of it. But one that I really, really, really want to do, it's been one I've been wanting to do for like 2 years, is go through Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda. My kids have it. We have a Switch. They also have an Xbox because they're spoiled. But I really want to go through that one, and then Tears of the whatever, the next one. I love Zelda as a kid. I love those role-playing games. So I think I want to go through those too. How do I get started? It feels like I start a little. I don't know how to use the joystick. It's super complicated. Like, how do I get into it? If you have advice, I appreciate it. Let's see. Jeffrey Chang, with the budget reconciliation looming, what do you think are the odds that the no taxes on tips get passed? Not super, super high. I think Trump will get some tax cuts in his next tax package. I don't know if tax on tips works. I haven't seen a readout on what it would cost yet. And maybe I'm just missing it. Led Pooplin 55. Are Republican primary voters going to pick a woman? Have you met Republican men? Yeah, I think they would actually. I mean, if Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee ran for president, I think she'd get a lot of votes. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Harrison and Derek show. Thumbs up. Yes, thumbs up. We got 400 people on here, only 120 likes. William Beck says, I saw Alito at a CVS last week. What does it mean about whether he's going to retire? Kean W, do you think Pete Buttigieg is a good candidate because he's such a good orator and goes on Fox News? Yeah, he is a good candidate. The problem is, you know who he appeals to? Affluent, highly educated white people. And you know who doesn't make up a majority of the Democratic primary electorate? Affluent, highly educated white people. So he's got to figure out a way to expand his appeal beyond that. But I don't know if he will. But yes, he's an incredibly gifted speaker, gifted debater, good on TV, all the things you say there. Ankeny Fanatic, you wrote about the awfulness of Nancy Mace earlier this week. I did. Is she approaching MTG territory with her bathroom crusade? Look, here's my thing about both of them. Here's my thing about Let me do my Nancy Mace. I wrote it on Substack. If you haven't read it, I hope you do. It's free. Nancy Mace does not care about what bathroom Sarah McBride, the transgender congresswoman from Delaware, is using. You know what Nancy Mace cares about? She cares about getting attention. Okay? Go back through, I posted this in the Substack thing, but go back through Nancy Mace's Twitter feed. There's tons of stuff about, like, we need equality of trans rights and LGBTQ rights, because she doesn't believe what she's saying now. She's doing it to endear herself to the MAGA and woke people who hate woke base. And she's using a person who, I will note, yes, Sarah McBride is transgender. Yes, she was born a man. But she has done zero to draw attention to that fact. It's not like she, bashed in the women's bathroom on Capitol Hill and went and did a sit-in until she could use it. She's not trying to draw, Nancy Mace is just doing this. I find that stuff gross, crude, lowest common denominator junk. And Black, you think Shapiro would be a better face than Bashir? No, I would choose Bashir if I needed to win a general election for Democrats. I just don't think Bashir can win a primary, and I think Shapiro too. Could. Seth Taylor, I know a lot of Trump supporters that are expecting another stimulus check from him. I mean, there's a non-zero chance that happens. Yes. Look, if there's anything that you say, could this happen with the Trump administration, with Donald Trump as president, I'm not going to say no. I would say there's a non-zero chance of almost anything happening. Darian says, I like Tim Ryan, hope he runs. So Tim Ryan ran for the Senate and lost to J.D. Vance in 2022, congressman before then. I don't know. He's probably too moderate again to be the nominee, but he is a good, young, interesting voice. Let's see. Michael Gaetz. Hey, Chris, who do you suppose will be the most important person in the second Trump administration in the long run, apart from the president? I mean, obviously, Vance, I think, will matter. Susie Wiles will matter. The Holman at the Department of Homeland Security will matter. Stephen Miller, the sort of head of policy, I don't know what his exact title is, but head of policy in the White House, he will matter. Oh, Mike Witt. I'm sorry, Mike. I missed a donation of yours. Mike says, and thank you for the donation, I should say. So far, my choices for Democrats in 2028 are AOC or Warnock, although I have my doubts about the Dems nominating another female, unfortunately. Thoughts? I don't think they should nominate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think that would affirm all of the things, the negative brand stereotypes that people in the middle and certainly people on the right think of Democrats already. She is a coastal giant liberal. I do not think that would work. Warnock is super interesting, and I always forget Warnock in these lists. Warnock is super interesting. He's very talented. He's from a swing state. He's African American. He has to be on that list. Matt Davidson. Hey, Chris, I think Wes Moore is a strong option for 2028. Yes, Wes Moore is another one. Governor of Maryland. I think he would be good. Buttigieg would be better going back to Michigan and running for governor. He could. That's actually an interesting point because they live in Michigan now, and Whitmer will be term limited out in 2026. Intriguing. Jennifer F. Buttigieg is the smartest kid in the room. Him and Obama, I'd vote for Pete in a hot minute. Again, some people love smartest kid in the room. Some people don't. Travis Lindsay. People still pushing, and Travis, thank you for the donation. People still pushing back on your third term Trump term take. Could a law, war, or VP allow for it? Dude, I know I get people pushing back on it, but let me just say this. I don't know what that looks like. The Constitution is very clear he would not be able to stay in office. People are saying he could have Vance run, win, and then install him as president. Is JD Vance going to do that? JD Vance doesn't want to be president. He wants to run as Trump's stooge and then let Trump be president. I don't see it. I mean, war, I guess he could try to invoke some kind of War Powers Act. I don't know. I think people are wrapped around the axle about this. And I think it is very, very, very likely Donald Trump leaves after 2020, in early 2029. Kevin Verbrick says that was a solid birthday shout out. Thank you. Kevin also says you should do Cameo. I probably should do Cameo. Do you think anyone would pay for me to be like, hey, it's Chris, happy birthday? I don't know. I mean, I'm always happy to find ways to make money, to be totally honest, Kevin. Pete Pineda. Wow, didn't know you were an Aggie. Probably explains why you're having common sense, which is missing with a lot of political commentators. So I'm an Aggie by marriage. My wife's entire family, except for her, went to A&M. I've been to Kyle Field. I have been to Midnight Yell practice. We root hard for the Aggies. We almost went to the TU A&M game. Which is next week, right after Thanksgiving, but I decided not to. But anyway, Jeff. So yes, Gig'em. Jeffrey W1. Whoever the Dems pick in 2028, do you think Trump will sick his attorney general on them? I don't know. Good question. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I just don't know. Warnord. I'm on the toilet at work watching this. Ouch. I mean, I'm glad you're watching, but yeah. Warnord, I guess following up from the toilet. Do you think that Wes Moore has a potential to be a Democratic presidential candidate? Yes, absolutely. He does. He will be. So he's up in 2026 for a second term, which I think he'll win. And then he could start running for president. Yes, definitely in the VP and president mix. Warnord, last one, because he says, Chris, get on Blue Sky. I am on Blue Sky. Just search for me. I'm on there. I don't follow anyone yet, but I have an account that I've been posting to. Jim Bart 8, Dave Matthews Band song recommendations, please. I see what you're doing, Jim Bart. Look, here's the thing. The great thing about Dave Matthews is you can turn it on any song and it sounds exactly like every other song. So it really doesn't matter. You don't need a favorite song. Just turn on any Dave Matthews album at any point. Do people turn on albums? Anyway, just turn on and it'll sound like the same thing. She wakes up in the morning, has her hair. Terrible falsetto. If you want a good falsetto, Bon Iver has a good falsetto. Blah, blah. Free beer. Don't drink the water. Don't drink the water. Same song. Matt Dellinger. There are 4 Republican senators who are doctors and represent ag-heavy states. Bill Cassidy, Rand Paul. Rand Paul's never accredited by the Eye Doctor Association. I will say that. John Barrasso and Roger Marshall. Do you see any of them opposing RFK Jr.? I don't know. You know who's interesting to watch? That is a great question, and I think smart. You know who's interesting to watch with RFK Jr. confirmation hearings is Bill Cassidy. I mentioned earlier, he has broken with Trump from time to time. He is going to be the head of the health committee that will oversee the Kennedy confirmation. So I have an eye on him because he's broken with Trump before. Might he do it again? But the doctor thing is really interesting. By the way, people, if you're going to use slang to describe Donald Trump, I'm not going to read your question. Just use his name. Let's see. Blah, blah. Bill Reeve. But I think if Newsom moves to the center more, he is a great communicator that could be effective. Yeah, could be. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think the problem is he's from California. PK Olson. So you snatched the mic when you left CNN. No, I did not. Just to be clear, this mic is CNN gave to me during COVID so that I could do stuff from home. So I didn't snatch it. In fact, I never went back into the office after they laid me off. That was it. I never went back in and got stuff. That was it. Never been back. Let's see. For stuff, do you think Trump's second term will be a lot different than the first one? It will be similar to the last 2 years of his first term, not to the first 2 years. That's what I think. Dr. Banana. There's always money in the banana stand. Chris, you could auction off your current mic after you retire it. No one would want that. This broken down old mic. It's also very heavy. Fell on my foot one time. Marilyn Laher. Do you think JD Vance is VP in name only and Musk is the real VP? No, Musk is going to get bored and Trump is going to get annoyed with him. This will not last forever. Trump and Musk, two piranhas in a bowl, man. That is going to implode at some point. XPFC Wintergreen 2.0. I saw on the Daily Show a montage of Mika Brzezinski sweet talking Trump pre-2016, and it's gross. Dude, it's about access. It's not complicated. Felix Bannon. Felix, thank you for your donation. No question? Okay. But thank you for your donation. Very much appreciated. And Felix says, hey, Chris. I say, hey, Felix. Mike Witt. AC/DC is going on tour next year, Chris. As much as I hate that Trump won being a Dem, I'm very much happy Baldwin beat Hovde in Wisconsin. So AC/DC, Hell's Bells, is going on tour. I might go see that. I'm not going to lie. That might be a good show to go see. Tears of the Kingdom is the name I couldn't think of. So it's Breath of the Wind and Tears of the Kingdom, right? Eric Wood says, I assume this is about video games. Practice makes perfect. Give it time. So I do need to do that. I love those games. And I've heard they're like the best video games ever made. And I have them downstairs in my basement. Zope. Hey, Chris, longtime viewer, first time live viewer. Awesome. How much do you follow presidential elections for foreign countries? It would be cool to see your analysis for the Mexican elections or the Canadian. A little bit. Maybe I should do that more. One thing I definitely want to get more into is the political betting markets, Kalshi, Polymarket. I think there's tons of good content there, and I want to get into that more. But yes, I like those. That's a good idea. Matt Davidson, hey, Chris, just curious if all Aggies dance around naked like in the best little whorehouse in Texas. I don't know. I've never danced around naked that you know of. Eric Kempton, watch a walkthrough while playing the game. So, Eric, I could watch like a video of people playing the beginning stages of the game. I'm sorry, I'm dumb about this. But the beginning stages of like Breath of the Wild. Is it Breath of the Wild? Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild. That'd actually be cool. Is that cheating? I just need to get into it a little bit to get familiar. I've done the first, the plateau test or whatever. I've done that like 15 times. But I never really, and I get beyond that and I get the glider and then I lose it. And Black, my advice on how to get into Legend of Zelda, play Super Mario Odyssey instead. Joseph Ballion, if senators vote against Donald Trump's cabinet nominees, would they face Trump's retribution? Maybe. Depends. I would not feel great if I was a Republican senator up for election in 2026 to vote against a bunch of Trump stuff that he wants because he is vengeful. He said that himself. Paul Carter. Hey, Chris, do you think there'll be a tipping point where Republicans will start putting distance between themselves and Trump midterm in 2 years to save themselves from their defeat post-Trump? I don't know. Normally, the answer to that would be yes, Paul. I don't know if Republicans in the midterms, unless Trump's approval rating is like 20%, if they do that. Normally, yes, that would happen. I think that was where we're going to head. But again, the current Republican Party is best understood as a cult of personality more than a political party. So it works more on the rules of a cult of personality than a political party. I hope that makes sense. Will Mulroy, what about Mark Kelly? I assume you mean in 2028, Will. I just don't think he's super charismatic and dynamic. I think they looked at him for VP and they were like he's got a great story, amazing personal story. Astronaut, he's married to Gabby Giffords, senator. pilot. Great story, but he's just not. I just don't think he's great. Like on TV. Stan Kun, keep up the great work. Chris, thank you. Do you think Vance and company saw Donald Trump's election as the easiest route to power, i.e. Dems were too implacable, so flatter DT to get sanest ideas done and then hold out to 2028? Well, I mean, I think J.D. Vance wanted to be vice president, and Kamala Harris wasn't asking him. And I think he saw that Donald Trump was going to be the nominee in 2024, so he smartly got on board. I don't think it's that complicated. Toby-Wan Kenobi, great name. Trump is old, true. And I do also think there are health concerns with him over the next 4 years. Yeah, I mean, look, he's 78. He'll be 82 if he serves a full term. I mean, 78-year-old actuarial tables, white male, 78-year-old living in America, do the actuarial tables, right? I mean, yes, there probably will be health concerns. XPFC Wintergreen, isn't Bernie a coastal super liberal? Yes, 100%. Did I say he wasn't? If I did, I misspoke. Kevin Verberg says, if your birthday cameo was that good, I'd pay $10 for my next birthday. $10 could add up. That'd buy me one coffee drink. Table turd. I fear the GOP gaining power and treating laws as mere words that have no real power. Not a question, but okay. Marco Canales, TU, nice, a true Aggie. My late father-in-law, if I called it UT, no. The University of Texas to my father-in-law is Texas University, not the University of Texas. And he called it TU until his dying day, and I would dishonor his memory and his legacy, and he was a great man if I called it UT. Barry Riley says, on the toilet, really? I'm in my dining room drinking a beer. That sounds good, Barry. I love it. Let's see. Eric Kempton, Fetterman is going to vote for RFK. He could be. Mike Witt, thanks for the donation. OG or new bloodline for the win in war games, Chris? OG. I'm old. I always go for the OG. Let's see. Hold on. I'm scrolling. What time is it? This thing has flown. Oh my gosh. It's almost an hour. Okay. Let me do a few things. Behind Chanel glasses, what is working with Laura Coates like? She seems nice. She rocks. Great person. Lovely, smart, interesting, thoughtful, great person. Love her. If you don't listen to her show on SiriusXM, you should. Michael Gaetz, Chris, do you believe that most average normal people would find working as elected politicians terrible, hard, and unrewarding? Yes, it is a miserable life. You got to raise money constantly. You got, particularly if you're in the House, you got in a swing state, you got a swing district, you got to campaign all the time. You're constantly climbing the ladder. You're going to events every night. You're doing things all weekend. Miserable. Anyone who in your life who says they're thinking of running for office, tell them not to. Let's see. Alhambra de Oro. Will the Trump coalition exist without him on the ballot? Which Republican has the best shot to hold it together and or expand the Trump coalition in 2028? Will any of Trump's children emerge his successor? I guess Vance or Donald Trump Jr. have the best chance of keeping the Trump coalition together. But I don't know if they will. I think some of the results that we saw suggest that in this last election suggest to me that that coalition is for Trump and Trump only. Now, might it be for Trump's VP who runs as president? Maybe. Might it be for Trump's eldest son who runs for president? Maybe. But I'm skeptical. Aaron Hashabekian. Aaron, thanks for the donation. Have you ever attended an inauguration? I have. I was at the Obama 2009 inauguration. It was so cold. I got there like 4:00 in the morning and I stood on a press riser until like 4:00 in the afternoon. I've never been so cold in my entire life. It was miserable. I was like 200 yards away from Obama, but it was miserable. Kennedy Ivy, I saw you on Newsmax. Nice job, man. I hope you didn't see me on Newsmax. I have not sunk that low. I hope you mean News Nation, which I do a lot of in terms of TV. Oh, gosh. They call me Blake. Do you think Scott Jennings is disappointed he hasn't been tapped to be Trump's press secretary? I don't think so. I think Scott's perfectly happy doing what he's doing on CNN. Let me see if there's any more. They call me Blake, says, I was at Clinton's second inauguration in the crowd. Confirm it was cold. Man, these inaugurations, they got to do them inside. Limit the crowd. Do it inside. I just can't. I can't deal with it. All right, that's it. I'm going to end. You guys rock. Thank you for everyone who donated to the Chris Cillizza Needs a New Microphone Fund. Very much appreciated. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. I need you. I need your support. The more subscribers we get, the more money I can make off of YouTube, the more videos I can do, the longer I can keep pursuing this independent creator, news influencer, whatever the hell it's called, career. So I need you. Second, like this video and like all my videos, because that's good for the algorithm. And the more people who don't subscribe but see my videos are going to become subscribers. I think I'm doing good content. Let's get them. So like this for the algorithm. Third, check out my Substack, chriscillizza.substack.com. I'm writing multiple things every day. Like I said, 75 to 80% of the content is free. I would love to have you over there. I would love to have you as a free subscriber. I'd love you even more if you were a paid subscriber. Mark a lot. Thank you for the belated mic fund donation. Have a good weekend to you too. Thank you. I'm off to teach. I got my quizzes. Spread the word, people. I need you. I really do. You're not supporting some big media conglomerate. You're supporting me. It's just me. There's no team. It's just me making the videos, writing, doing the speeches, all that stuff. So thank you for your support. Thank you for checking out this live stream. I'll probably do one next Friday, Thanksgiving edition live stream, if people are game for that. So stay tuned for that and become a subscriber so that you get alerted when my new videos and my live streams go up. All right, everybody, take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Be kind to each other and be good to yourselves.